It is supposed to be the most magical place on Earth, the happiest place there ever was. It is the Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney World Resort, the park with the highest attendance in all of the world. And yet, over the past years, it seems as if the park is declining in terms of people and their enjoyment of it. It's time to review the Magic Kingdom for 2023 and find out what is it about this park that is diminishing. All right, folks, welcome back to another wonderful day here on the WDW Pro channel. We are so excited to have each and every one of you joining us to chat about the Magic Kingdom. It is, of course, the most popular park in the world in terms of attendance, but that seems to be on the decline. Seriously, Walt Disney World as a whole is certainly not at the same quality, in my opinion, as it once was, but the Magic Kingdom as the flagship park of the resort seems to also be suffering. It is not immune. Joining me to talk about Walt Disney World and specifically Magic Kingdom is Jenn the Travel Girl, returning for the second time. Jenn, welcome back.
Hey.
All right, folks, we are going to start with an article out of Yahoo Finance, and this one is by Alexandra Canal. It's called "Wall Street is Worried Disney Theme Parks Could Be Losing Their Magic." Disney's Park Experiences and Products business brought in the lion's share of profits for the entertainment giant last year. Remember that, folks. Brought in the majority. Now there's growing concern that theme parks could be losing their magic. The company said the back half of this year will see a moderation in demand at the domestic parks, especially when compared to last year's 50th anniversary celebration at Walt Disney World. And by the way, folks, let me say this for all of you out there. The 50th was an absolute travesty. It was garbage. I mean that. They have demolished many of the things that they actually did for the 50th because they were so unpopular. So the idea that people flock to the theme parks for the 50th anniversary is a whole lot of nonsense. This comparison, coupled with inflationary cost pressures, including from a new union agreement, is expected to drive a modest adverse impact to domestic parks and experiences operating margins in third quarter compared to the prior year. Former CFO Christine McCarthy warned during the company's latest earnings call in May. This article goes on to talk about the fact that Touring Plans, a website whose owners we enjoy and consider friends, that Touring Plans has been noticing and documenting that ride times are down inside the Magic Kingdom and elsewhere inside Walt Disney World. And so, Jenn, our job today is to discuss what is going on in 2023. You recently were at Magic Kingdom. Can you tell me a little bit about why you think perhaps the Magic Kingdom is not so magical anymore?
Wow. There's a lot. There's a lot of reasons why. One of the biggest things for me is that when you're there, it seems like the rides are down more than they used to be. So, for instance, when I was there, Space Mountain was down for a good bit, like when I first got there, and of course that pushed traffic to some of the other rides. So it did, I guess, artificially increase the ride time in that what was projected for the ride time. Like, for instance, when I first got there, I got right on the train because I saw Space Mountain was down, and I went straight to Adventureland, Frontierland area to ride the Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. And that was long because, of course, you don't have Splash Mountain taking on any of those any of that crowd on that side. So it was, and that's an uncomfortable line to be in because there is no air movement. There's no fan set up. It's like if you're outside of that ride in the queue that they've set up with the ropes, you are in direct sunlight, and it's long. It's a long wait. So we actually, once we got, how you have to find the end of the line, find the cast member who's marking it off for you. We decided it was just too long of a line. So we decided instead to just go and wait for the parade. So we just kind of camped out and waited for the parade to start because I got there right around the middle of the day. But I would also say things like you can see it in the quality of the bathroom experiences, as far as there not being the supplies in the bathrooms that you would expect, the cleanliness of the bathrooms. It's not pleasant. I don't know. I remember specifically when I would go in other years, specifically going into the bathroom and being like, oh, it feels so good in here because it would be so much cooler than outside. It's not that way anymore. It doesn't seem like it's an oasis of air conditioning. I don't know if they're not.
I have noticed that over the past years, I guess, but
Uh-huh.
more pronounced this year is the
Yes.
reduction. In my opinion, that thermostat has been adjusted on many of the interior buildings inside the Magic Kingdom.
Agreed. I mean, it was a specifically hot day when I was there, and I don't tend to normally go on hot days, but I was there on a hot day. I think the high was around 93 that day. So it was noticeable to me because I just when I walked in, I just in my mind I was like, this isn't right. Like usually it feels really good in here. And then just things like soap dispensers being empty, toilet paper being missing in stalls. That to me felt more like a Six Flags experience than a Disney experience.
Yes, and I agree that it is definitely moving in that direction. One of the things that I do not care for right now is that everything seems to be driven through your phone. And so whereas you should be able to put away the outside world and enter into the Magic Kingdom and forget about all of the parts of your life other than being with your family and having fun, instead you're sitting there staring at that same little device that you're stuck with all the other days of your life. And the issue there is that you're supposed to use this app. The app is somewhat successful, and when it works, it is convenient, but there are also times when it does not work. And when it does not work, everything in the park is run through that phone essentially. And so when your application is not performing as it should, you have no way of doing almost anything. You can't order food at most places. You cannot get reservations. It is amazing how much is run through that little app. And the other issue I have with this is that all through the park, of course, you're trying to maintain a positive signal with your phone, so you're using Wi-Fi, and you're bouncing from spot to spot on the Wi-Fi. So that's already draining the battery on your phone. But then also this application that is running now on your phone nonstop while you're there, it is a battery hog, and so your phone, your battery diminishes very quickly while you're at Magic Kingdom. And this is just amazing to me. They still to this day in the Magic Kingdom, they do not have lounges for you to go sit and cool down and refresh and plug in your phone and recharge it. There's nothing like that. And so you are required to use this piece of technology, but you are not given the infrastructure to use the technology. And so there are people bringing in like multiple extra battery packs to plug in their phones to try to survive the day. And I just don't think that's magical. What do you think, Jen?
I also have the same problem where my phone by the end of the day last night when I was there, it was dead. Like it was dead way before I got to my car. And that's a little unnerving because we do have become so um, accustomed to having a phone and like you said, if you're trying to plan something, because I was even like, I was in a line for a ride and I was like, oh, I wonder what time the fireworks start, because I couldn't remember. And I wonder what time the park closes and when the after hours, and because I was in line for a ride and they let me ride it, even though it was past the time when technically the park was closed. So I had no way of knowing. I didn't even know you don't even know what time it is anymore if you don't have your phone
Yes.
charged properly. So yeah, it's unnerving.
Another issue here with the Magic Kingdom, and we could go on and on about all of the what I would say micro decisions over the years, negative micro decision after negative micro decision. It's like a mountain of just poor decisions that fail to adhere to the original ideals that Disney parks were built upon. But one of the biggest issues is that somehow the crowd levels are not what they once were, and still the park can't handle the crowd levels. And so I think partially you're right when you talked about how many attractions tend to be down at any given time. It's partially due to the fact that Splash Mountain, the most popular attraction on planet Earth, has been shuttered and they're putting something new in there. God help them if it's not popular, because I don't know what they'll do. But Splash Mountain was tremendous at pushing through crowds. It is gone. Tron is not highly efficient at moving through crowds. Whether you like the ride or not, it's just not great at eating those capacities. And so what you get is you get a park that has essentially the same number of rides it's had for decades. The crowd levels are lower, and yet somehow the park can't handle those levels. Now, you were talking with me before the video about your experience trying to ride Buzz Lightyear and the fact that, the queue is inside the building, and yet you're waiting an hour to ride this ride. I noticed the same thing with Haunted Mansion, where the lines are no longer where they used to be in terms of just the physical space they take up, and yet they're taking longer to get on the rides. I don't know if they're limiting capacity on these attractions. I don't know if they are, running them at lower, volumes of people. I don't know what's going on. All I know is that there's fewer people, and yet I'm riding less and less rides every time I go to the Magic Kingdom. Do you have the same experience?
One of the things I've always thought when I'm there, well, not always, but since the 2020, is I've always wondered about their staffing, because I can see how if you had more staff to run the rides at the capacity, you may not have the wait times that you would otherwise. So sometimes I wonder if it's just not having the right amount of staff there to accommodate the amount of I don't know what you'd say, frequencies of the ride. I'm not really sure, but I just because I've noticed it in so many other ways, like understaffing and the way it's affected us, it's caused us all to like lower our standards. And I don't think Disney's immune to that.
Well, and the cast, I mean, I'm not trying to be negative, and I'm a big proponent of cast members here on the channel. There's a difference in the last few years, and I'm not trying to paint with a broad brush. I'll give you one example, though. I was at the parks recently, and in Magic Kingdom, someone came over the intercom in Pirates of the Caribbean, over the queue PA system, and you could hear the annoyance and frustration in their voice as they were giving the commands for people to how to load the boats and all of this. And like you could hear this person was just in a condescending mood. And that's the sort of thing that would have never been allowed 10 years ago. And yet today, it is allowed. And it's just thing after thing after thing that has changed, with Magic Kingdom, that really, to me, and I find this hard to believe, but I don't know that I would recommend this park to everyone or even to many people. I would recommend it, I suppose, to families with small children who maybe want to have that experience of seeing the castle. And I might recommend it to people who haven't been in a decade, but I just don't know. I don't know that I recommend going to this park on a regular basis, at least, because here's another example. You've got low crowd levels for the summer. I mean, that's being documented. And yet I witnessed that it was taking an hour to go through the Main Street Bakery through the Starbucks. That's just it's amazing. And I don't know what to make of the poor customer service. It's not everywhere. Some of the cast members are doing an excellent job. There are still very neat experiences, but the extra go above and beyond touch that Disney had, just not there. You mentioned the restroom situation. That's just another. Let me give you. Okay, Jen, let me give you one more example, and then I'll hand it to you, and we'll wrap this up. But this is the epitome of what's wrong with the Magic Kingdom right now. At Cosmic Rays, which is not known for its food, I guess it's known for how many seats it has, and it's essentially a glorified McDonald's, right? It's not a great fast food place. It never has been, but it is what it is. It's a fast food restaurant in Tomorrowland. And so, but at least this restaurant in the past, it had a little, condiment bar where once you had your hamburger or you had your chicken burger, whatever you had, you could go and you put your lettuce and your onion and your tomato on your burger, and they would have different sauces and cheese sauce, yada, yada, yada. You get the idea. The amazing thing is now that those I guess, condiment bars, those topping bars, which, were just normal. You put lettuce on your burger. Those still stand. They're still there. Now they're just filled with ketchup, mustard, and mayo packets. So you have these nice looking condiment bars, topping bars, where once you could put the nice touches on your food, now they're just filled with packets of sauce and not any kind of special sauce, just ketchup, mayo, mustard. And it looks ridiculous. And it shows that once upon a time, this was much nicer. And well, now you just deserve to get, you deserve to get a few Heinz packets. So that to me, this is all throughout Magic Kingdom. Jen, I'll let you wrap it up on Magic Kingdom's review. And by the way, let me say this before I hand it to you. There's still some fun stuff. The fireworks are still good. There are still some rides that are timeless when they're running, but there's a lot to be desired right now. So, Jen, take it away. Final thoughts on Magic Kingdom and a review for 2023.
One thing I will say, because your condiment bar brought it to my mind. When I was there, I noticed that there was actually just a picture of pickles. Did you see that when you were there? There was a picture. I guess it used to be where pickles actually used to be
You don't
on
get
that
pickles,
bar.
people. You don't get pickles anymore. You
But
just
it
get to
was
see
like
the photo of what it once was to actually,
exactly.
you spend
Yes.
$150 and you get to look at a picture of where they once cared enough to put pickles.
Yes, yes. That to me, I was like, that actually was what reminded me that I was like, wait a minute, this is where I used to be able to top off my
See you
sandwich.
real soon, folks. Come on back. Maybe next time we'll just cut it down to ketchup. No mayo or mustard for you.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I find the crowd, at the end of the night, I find that to be baffling, of how stressful it is to leave the park now. I remember my feet feeling like lead after leaving the parks, when I was younger, even in my 20s. I remember. But what I do not remember was being the cattle herding that happens now. And I will say that I've started taking the ferry every time I leave the park now. I had never taken the ferry for years and years because to me, part of the experience was the monorail. But the inconvenience of riding the monorail has now turned me to a ferry rider,
Jen,
because you can get
Jen,
600 people on each ferry.
I tried to get on the monorail and I was told at one point in the past little while that, oh, I'm sorry, the doors won't open. And they had to take half the people from the front of the monorail. This was monorail silver. They had to take the front half of everybody who was waiting and move them to the back half to see if they could push them in like sardines because the doors would not open. Then I had another party, another group that I was with. They were on the monorail, and the monorail broke down for 20 minutes. They were stranded on the monorail. This is not the first time that this kind of thing has happened. It happens frequently. And this is just, I don't know what is going on. This used to be the pristine, top of the line park where you were treated kindly. You were given fast passes just for coming. You got your money's worth. And now it feels like you pay $150 to get nickel and dimed at every single opportunity. And, the quality is not there. And Bob Iger and everybody who runs Disney, they need to fix this immediately. The park has not kept up with the times. It just hasn't. You should be treated extremely well when you're inside this place. And instead, it is just, if it's any time in the spring, summer, or fall, it is a sweat fest of waiting in very long lines for rides that should have been updated a decade ago. Jen, I meant to give you last word. I'll give it to you again. What else do you got?
No.
But it just keeps going. It's so frustrating.
No, I understand. Yeah, I mean, to me, when I was going to wrap it up, I mean, to me, it was the getting off the island. I mean, to me, that's just always, and you can just feel, unfortunately, you can hear the conversations going around you. You can feel the misery of everyone. It's really such a downer when you're leaving the most magical place on earth. I know. And I think to myself, hopefully these people haven't been here before, so they didn't know what it was and they aren't feeling the disappointment that I'm feeling.
Talk about driving the premier, uh, happiest place on earth. It really was. It was amazing. Back in the
Mhm.
90s, the 80s,
Mhm.
even the 2000s, they have just absolutely driven the quality down to nothing. I remember there was a time when people were angry because they stopped serving cheese sauce, with the French fries and stuff at some of these establishments. My
Mhm.
gosh, to go back to those times would be wonderful. Now you're lucky if you can even get ketchup. They scowl at you for even asking it. So, all
Mhm.
right. Well,
Yeah,
Jen, the
yeah.
travel girl, thank you so much for being here. I wish we had a better report on Magic Kingdom. We will be reporting next week on the other parks at Walt Disney World. There is still good to be had, folks. I just don't think that the Magic Kingdom is the place to find it very much anymore. But the hotels, there are some hotels that I think are great, and you can spend some really good time at the hotels and have a good time with your family. I also think that the water parks are still high value, and we'll see if there are reasons to go to Animal Kingdom, Hollywood Studios, and Epcot. That video forthcoming. Jen, thank you again for being here on the channel. We look forward to having you on again in the future. And folks, the conversation has come to a close. Drop a comment down below, though, and let us know what your thoughts are. Are we being too harsh with the Magic Kingdom? What is still there that is positive? Let us know down below. If you like content like this, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, and when you click it, you stick it to the algorithms. It is indeed the notification bell. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and even in Disney World, keep having fun.
I just found out to get WDW Pro's information, where he gets his sources. I can't believe he uses. Wilton!
What?
We got a job to do. It's easy to hack into WDW Pro's computer.
You're kidding me. That's awesome. You know any other stuff?
Yeah, just Jonas Campbell told me.
Sweet.
Said Pro underpaid him or something.
A few minutes later.
There. Oh, awesome. Well, whatever. All I gotta do is
Whoa.
hack into this thing. It's gonna be so easy.
Yeah, this isn't
All
a
right,
hack.
grab this picture over here.
Leave it to me.
Oh, no, Wilson.
Job done. What?
No, all we had to do was use the picture because he uses face unlock. Now we gotta go to thatparkplace.com and sub to him and his team on YouTube.
Oh, well, I already did that because I'm smart.